So this is the beginning image that you're going to be starting with. You will get a random sport, and that random sport will have a couple of images inside there that you are responsible for working with. So the goal will be where your background is in black and white, and your shepherd player alone will be the one in color. So in this case, it's going to be really important. I like to Control J, which makes that copy. Don't forget, that's layer, and then you're going to duplicate that layer or Control J. Okay, so now we're ready to rock and roll. In this particular one, we need to apply a layer mask. But the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change it to a black and white. So I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. You should be very familiar with this by now. And we're going to completely desaturate. So that whole layer is desaturated. At this stage, I may want to pop some of my values. I might want to go up to Image Adjustments, and maybe I'll go up to my levels. And I might go ahead and make this image have a little bit more pop. Maybe right in there, okay? It's not as gray. I've got a little bit more. I might even go with a little bit more dark in there. But again, I don't want to make it so dark where it becomes very difficult to see details. So you do have to be very thoughtful about that and very careful to make sure you balance it well, okay? So at that stage, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with a layer mask. Right here at the bottom, you will see this little rectangle with a circle inside. That is acting, or that starts up your layer mask. So we're going to put that layer mask on, and you're going to make sure that you've got this layer mask selected. Just as before, you'll see the little white corners on the outside. Over here, however, you'll see that I now move them over. This edits the picture, and this edits the layer mask. So it is really important that you guys do know the difference and that you do it wisely. So at this stage, again, you've got a variety of tools. A lot of you are using your regular paintbrush, switching it to black, and then painting in that particular figure. So you can see what I'm doing once I let go of the click, is you can see that I have painted it in black, which has uncovered the layer underneath it, which is this right here. So those colors do match. Some of you may also notice that if you go to your magnetic lasso tool, that you're able to select your figure. I'm going to go ahead and continue selecting. I let go of my click every so often because I want to make sure that it sort of locks in my, there we go, it locks in my selection. I'm going to zoom in, try to get to those fingers, making sure I'm not missing out on anything like that little back part of the hand back there. I think that's looking pretty good for a start. I need to get some of that hair. I'm going to get part of that golf club. I'm going to make that brush a little smaller. Don't forget you can resize with your bracket key. I've been going around making sure a lot of you remember that because some of you guys are still not quite doing that. And I really think that it would help you tremendously. I'm going to make it even smaller. I'm going to try to get into this little section right here. And then I'm going to fix it up, okay? I obviously have too much information here. I also have some information in there. So I'm going to come back to this little top part. And I'm going to select that minus, okay? When I select the minus, I'm going to go just a tiny bit bigger. I'm going to drive it around in the area I want to take out. So I just took that out. I'm going to go ahead, click, and it actually auto-picked that for me. Let me click once. Let's see how it does. Did pretty well down there. I need to get rid of this section. I got to click a few times, and I'm clicking and driving it around, like I drive around the parking lot looking for a parking space, for example. Then I notice I missed a little part there, so I'm going to go back on the plus. Missed a little bit over there. And I'll show you how you can recover some of it that you just can't quite click on. So at this stage in time, I think that I did pretty well. So I'm going to edit, fill with black. Notice you've got all those choices, but I'm going to just choose a straight up black. You'll see that it's filled that figure in very nicely. Okay, so that figure is ready to go. I can zoom back out, and I can see where I'm at and see what I need to fix up. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select, deselect. I'm going to get rid of my little selection of those crawling ants. That's what those dots are called. And I'm going to take a closer look at it and make sure that I didn't miss something that is really, really needed. Okay, so I'm going to start scrolling. I'm going to look around. That's looking pretty good. My computer is really, oh my goodness, sorry guys. Computer's really lagging. There we go. Looks like I may have missed a little bit of her hair. So I can, oh, but I got too much over there. So I can come back in. I'm going to go ahead and soften. Because when you get around hair, if it's too harsh, it looks fake. So I'm going to go ahead. Actually, her hair is gray in this picture, which is kind of interesting, just because it's probably the lighting. She doesn't really have gray hair, I promise you. Okay, so I just made sure. And then I'm going to go ahead and once again switch to my white now. I'm going to switch these and flip so white's on top. I can zoom in really close. And I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit more of a hardened brush. And I'm going to fill in those areas that do not belong in color. There should be no color there. There should be no color there. I'm going to even peek inside her hair right on those corners and make sure to get rid of that. I might even go right up to the edge of that silver because it's kind of a reflection. I'm going to come into her hand, get rid of that edge of that weird yellow color. Make it a little smaller. And that's what I need you to do. I need you to get picky when you're looking around for these changes that need to happen, okay? And you have to do it while getting that close. Now, my very last thing is to ask you to look at your color. And at this stage, your color should be emphasizing the shepherd player. But sometimes orange photographs looking like it's more red. So I really want to emphasize the orange quality in that photograph. Not to a point where we want to change anyone to looking like an Oompa Loompa or anything, but I do want to make sure that if there's orange, we've popped that color orange a little bit. And we do that by going to your background. We can go to image adjustments, and we're going to go back to our hue and saturation, okay? So what I can do is I can pop my colors a little bit. Please don't go crazy. I mean, that's a little much. She would probably not be very happy with me. So we're going to go ahead and pop those values a little bit. And you can also, if I zoom in a little bit, I'm going to kind of pay attention to this orange symbol. I'm going to move my hue slider a little bit. You'll see that a lot of things will switch a little bit. So I may find by moving this hue saturation slider, I can uncover more of an orange value, like right there. It looks more orange to me. So it went from, let me just take that, okay? It went from this to this, which is barely noticeable, but it's just a little hint more. And at that stage, your piece is done and ready to be saved. You are going to save it back to your computer and then get it onto Google into that particular folder you've been given access to. So you do want to rename this, File Save As. You're going to go ahead to your H drive. In this case, it's my last name, but it's going to be your first name. I'm going to go my pictures, and I'm going to go ahead and say girls golf finished glaze. So it's the sport, it's finished, and I am the artist that completed this particular piece, so I get credit for it. And then I hit save. But again, I want you to notice, I have not deleted anything. I've used a layer mask. Some of you guys were deleting. You can't retrieve that information once it's gone. So we need to make sure you're not deleting. Okay? So that is the ins and outs of working on these sports portraits. If you do have a special request, I can take a look and see if I can find a picture. If you happen to be in one of the sports, I can see. I do have to kind of be a little bit more, I can't just pick everyone's friends. I do have to pick certain pictures in order to make them possible to fit inside of our artwork. So keep all that in mind. If there's a specific sport you would like to work on, I could see what I can do to help. But again, whatever sport you get, it's just a job. It's just like when I get pictures here. I may not want to work on that picture, but it's part of something that I do because I know I need to. Okay? So that is it. Again, making sure you're using layer masking so that if I need to fix something up before it goes to print, I can do that. But again, it's just a necessary piece. You can see I've got two layers, one in full color, one in black and white with the layer mask, white background, black foreground. You can use your brush. Make sure you're not on the wrong brush. Some of you guys have been using the wrong brush and wondering why this doesn't work. make sure you're on the regular brush tool. And if you want to try to jazz it up a little bit and you find it helpful, you can use Quick Select. But please do not bank on using Quick Select for everything. It's not going to work. And that is it.